WWE has unveiled a brand new program, a new initiative. And if you're a wrestling fan, you should be a little worried. I am, of course, talking about WWE ID. ID being for Independent Development. So what is WWE ID? Well, think of it kind of like, NXT's NXT. This program will see WWE partnering with several wrestling schools to try and help develop the next generation of main event stars. In an ideal world. There's already a few schools that have this monicum of WWE ID, that being schools by Seth Rollins, Cody Rhodes, and Booker T, among I think like 2 or 3 others. The schools would be looking to help younger wrestlers, different things from obviously financial benefits, being able to have access to medical trainers, world-class mentorship, stuff like that. Ideally, it's meant to help people and help them progress. So why do people think that this is a good thing? Well, this sounds like a smart move to help younger wrestlers. Ideally, it's hard to work full-time as a wrestler and make a living, at least at the very beginning, when you're a no-name. Most wrestlers actually do have a 9-to-5 job and wrestle on the weekends. This may even be presented as a way for WWE to give back to the business and help the younger generation. They're trying to embrace the indie wrestlers, the smaller guys, and embrace the new style of wrestling. So, all of that sounds good for the most part, but it's not all a good thing. This is not the first time that WWE has tried to pull this. Does anyone remember the quote from Triple H, local globalization? There was a time when the thought process was we have NXT, and eventually there would be NXT Mexico, NXT India, NXT Japan. But before all of that, there was NXT UK. The whole idea was to sign multiple British indie wrestlers while at the same time trying to help the British independent scene. Certain wrestlers were signed, wrestlers like Pete Dunne, Gunther, I guess at the time Walter. We also have Rhea Ripley, who is very much a forefront star. Eli Dragunov, Tyler Bate, among others. Initially, these wrestlers were signed to contracts, obviously to help them financially, and they would star in an NXT UK exclusive show, NXT UK. Now, initially, these wrestlers were allowed to wrestle in independent shows as well. Initially. They were allowed to work independent wrestling dates. All well and good, right? The long-term effects that were felt from this move can still be felt in the British wrestling independent circuit to this day. See, initially, wrestlers were allowed to wrestle at independent shows as long as they always showed up for NXT UK and any special WWE shows. And then the reins started getting pulled. These wrestlers were then told you can't lose at these shows. And then they can only wrestle other WWE contracted talent until eventually they were just pulled from these shows altogether, cannibalizing the British wrestling scene. Now, around the time that NXT UK was launched, the British wrestling scene was strong. There were shows up and down the country. It was flourishing, which, of course, WWE saw potential competition. Many of those independent wrestling promotions that signed with WWE, allowing them to work with their talent, found themselves cannibalized, stripped of all their talent, and left for spare parts. Many of them closed or shells of what they used to be. ICW and Progress, and I guess on some level, WCPW, were gutted. But that wasn't everyone. Rev Pro, who initially declined to work with WWE, are arguably bigger than they've ever been because they didn't allow WWE to poach all their top talent all at once. Obviously, as progress happens, talent will migrate either to WWE or AEW, but Rev Pro is still going strong, arguably because they made the smart decision not to work with Walmart or Amazon or WWE in this case. Evil corporate company. Yeah. So what does this have to do with our current story? Well, WWE ID may be the next phase of this plan, or at least the next logical step in this plan. There are several within the industry that fear that WWE ID will do to the American wrestling promotion what NXT UK did to the British wrestling scene. Now, that said, there are insiders that don't necessarily agree with this. Brian Alvarez is saying that people are seemingly overreacting, that it's too soon. If this happens, okay, it happens and we can criticize it. But now it's too soon. To which my response is, no.
Oh my God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm.
What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure?
Stay calm!
Wait.
Everybody calm down!
People are reacting in such a hostile way to the idea, and on some level, I kind of see his point. You're freaking out about a program, that has barely started whose effects are not known as of yet. Additionally, he goes on to make a point that the collapse of the British wrestling scene happened. WWE was under Vince McMahon. They're under a new regime. And Triple H. And you know what? That's fair. But here's the thing. When you see something that could be a problem, you don't wait to deal with it later. You deal with it now while it's still manageable. I feel like the major issue with Brian's take on this WWE ID is that he feels like it's just one big feeder system, to which my response is bullshit. I'm willing to put money down right now that if WWE could snap its fingers and all its competition went away tomorrow, I think they would. I think what they want to do is sign younger talent now, that way they cannot sign with AEW later on. I would say, and I can be wrong in this, AEW don't want to be the only game in town. They actively work to help promote and work with other companies. Whereas WWE try to kill them. That's not me saying, that's a fact. It's been that way ever since Vince McMahon first took over the WWF. And they're continuing that. I know this may be too early to call, but I believe that this is a bad thing. But what do you think? Let us know down below. We'd greatly appreciate it. We hope you're enjoying these mini wrestling episodes. We're going to try to do these more often. Please do us a favor and like and subscribe. We'd greatly appreciate it. We're trying to grow this channel. And yeah, catch y'all next time. We'll see everybody.